Hi, everybody, and happy Friday to you, June the 20th. Welcome into Morning in the Valley. I am Jeff Bidwell. Glad you are with us today as we close out another week, as we inch ever so slowly but surely, getting closer to the beginning of November and the start of the college basketball season. No guests today. We had somebody lined up, and some late travel issues going to keep him from being with us today, but we will hopefully have him back on very, very soon. But we have plenty to get to this morning that hopefully will hold your attention. First of all, Ben Sheppard, the former Belmont standout, 1-1 away from being an NBA champion. 7 points, 5 rebounds last night for the Indiana Pacers, 108-91. Not 108-91. Pacers beat Oklahoma City, and they force a decisive Game 7 coming up Sunday night in OKC. If you haven't done so already, please head on over to YouTube, search out Morning in the Valley, subscribe to us, like, share, comment, all of it. And that will help us out. Again, if you ever miss any shows, we've got interview clips. Our great interview from Monday with Illinois State big man Chase Walker, the presumptive preseason Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year. Really enjoyed my talk with him. We've got the full interview, clips of that as well over on our YouTube page, our YouTube channel there. Search out Morning in the Valley. All right, we're going to get started today, and we're going to talk some scheduling. But we're going to start things off today with a little story time with Uncle Jeff. Back in 2017, Murray State, still a member of the Ohio Valley Conference, hosted Auburn and Bruce Pearl, of course, out of the SEC. It was the first time in, I think, 22, 23 years that an SEC team had come to Murray. I believe it was 95, 94, somewhere around there. Ole Miss had come in, and certainly scheduling has most definitely changed this century, as you can go back and really any teams, the year by years. And the further back you go, you're blown away by the teams that would come in and play power schools, playing road games at all kinds of places. And so, but it had been 20 some odd years since a Power 4, Power 5 school had come to Murray, Kentucky. Now, this was Auburn won. It was like 79, 72, something like that. It was a good game, close game. That was John Morant's freshman season. Now, Murray State was coming off a losing year. It was their first losing season since 1987. So it had been a minute, 30 years or so since they had a losing record. I don't know how much intel they necessarily had, did Auburn, in terms of trying to plan out a game of hey, we're okay going to play a mid-major. I don't know. Certainly when they played in December of 2017, no one knew that Ja Morant was going to be Ja Morant, but Murray State had some pieces. Jonathan Stark ended up being the Ohio Valley Conference Player of the Year. You had Shaq Buchanan on that team, who spent a bunch of time in the G League, now overseas. They had pieces, and they would ultimately win an OVC championship, get to the NCAA tournament. I don't know that anybody had that in mind in July, August, when Auburn made this game. Now, it was part of a 3-game series. It was a 2-for-1. So this was the game in Murray, and the Racers had to return 2 games in future years at Auburn. So this was not a complete charity case from Auburn. They certainly got something out of it, not having. It was essentially a home and home, and then one additional game on there that was a bye game for the Racers. All that said, at the end of the game, the Racers lose to Auburn, and Bruce Pearl comes in and sits at the press conference. And I was there, and I asked him just a pretty simple question. Why are you here? Why did you bring your team to this building to play this team at this time? And this was Bruce Pearl's answer. Now, this was I had to pull this off of X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, from a video that's 8 years old. So the quality, not awesome. But this was Bruce Pearl's answer as to why he brought his Auburn team to Murray State back in 2017.
I think tonight's the reason. It's nobody wants to schedule a loss, but I looked at it as scheduling an opportunity. I knew the environment. I knew it was going to be full, but I knew it was going to be classy. I know it's going to be hot. I know it's going to be intense. But if I can't go on the road and beat Murray State in a close game, how in the world am I going to go to Tennessee and win? You know, so you got to give it a shot. And I think the other thing too is because Murray has got such respect. Had we lost the game, I think tonight's the reason. Um, you know, it's you don't nobody wants to schedule a loss, but I looked at it as scheduling an opportunity. Um, I knew the environment. I knew it was going to be full, but I knew it was going to be classy. Um, I knew it was going to be hot. I knew it was going to be intense. But if I can't go on the road and beat Murray State in a close game, how in the world am I going to go to Tennessee and win? You know, so you got to give a shot. And I think the other thing too is because Murray has got such respect. Had we lost the game, two things would happen. They say, well, at least he had the guts to go there, and Murray's a really good team, and maybe even an NCAA tournament team. So now I'm not going to go play every mid-major on the road. I've played at Middle. I've played at Chattanooga, and here at Murray. We played at Dayton. I mean, you know, you got to sometimes put your kids in harm's way. And I did know that the fans here I knew they'd appreciate it. They'll remember that Auburn came here. And they remembered last time an SEC team came here, Scott
Edgar indeed beat Ole Miss by 20. So apologize for the hiccup there in getting that rolling. But that was Bruce Pearl 8 years ago. And I thought his point at the time was great of how are we supposed to go win at Tennessee in front of 25,000 lunatics in Knoxville if we can't go to Murray State and beat 8,000 lunatics in Murray? And look, this is a guy that was a Division II head coach, won a national championship at Southern Indiana back in 1995, spent 4 years at Milwaukee as a mid-major head coach, and then obviously went on to Tennessee and now doing great at Auburn. Since he has been at Auburn, he has shown a track record at SLU, at South Florida, at Central Florida, at UAB, at South Alabama, at Murray State, at Dayton. 2 years ago, he went to Appalachian State and he got beat. And Jeff Goodman hopped on there and was like, and I believe the quote was, that is a baffling scheduling decision for Bruce Pearl to go to App State and then obviously to get beat. I have always, to his point, I'm not going to go play every mid-major, but they're going to pick and choose. They're going to find some regional games their fans can get to as well. But if we can't win there, how are we supposed to go win at big places? But I've always thought there's been some part of his heart that has a Bruce Pearl's heart that still remembers what it was like to be a Division II head coach, what it was like to be a head coach at Milwaukee, how hard it was to schedule, how hard it was to get games. And look, I said, it's not just charity. He's just not, hey, we're just going to come play you. It's going to be a home and home. Great. And then we'll probably buy you one more time. So it'll be a 2-for-1, but that's fine. That's fine. The folks in Murray, over the moon that they got an SEC team to come into their building. And it hasn't happened since. Off the top of my head, I mean, really the shocking scheduling thing here in the last couple of years is they were able to get a home and home with SMU, who's now in the ACC. And that was almost kind of by accident that SMU had a coaching change and all that. But anyway, back to my point. It can be done. It just takes a coach with some gumption and sort of to understand this is the way of the world. This is the way, is it ideal for us? No. And I think the part I cut off in the very beginning where he said, no one wants to schedule a loss. And again, you understand it. No one wants to schedule a loss, But at some point, you have to put yourself in some level of jeopardy and kind of see what happens. That brings us to our old friend at Drake, Ben McCollum, who is now, of course, the head coach at Iowa after he spent all those years at Northwest Missouri State, a Division II school, won 4 national championships, went to Drake, was there 1 year, won 31 games, won a Missouri Valley title, won a Missouri Valley tournament title, got to the NCAA tournament, won a game, able to quickly springboard. Took Bruce Pearl 4 years to get out of Milwaukee, go to Tennessee. Took 1 year for McCollum to get from Drake to Iowa. Let's see, today is Friday. I believe this was Wednesday afternoon. Ben McCollum appeared on the John Rothstein podcast, CBS Sports, John Rothstein, on YouTube. And Rothstein asked about scheduling and talked about rosters, but then talked about scheduling. And he's, went through, he's like, well, we're going to play this team. We're going to play this team. We know this is hooked up and whatever. And really, without being prompted, McCollum started talking about the net and started talking about Drake and Northern Iowa, in-state schools there in Iowa. And here is what Ben McCollum told John Rothstein about the possibilities of playing either or maybe and Drake and Northern Iowa.
I think that trying to make sure that your net rankings is good. I know that Drake and you and I want us to play them every single year, and it's like, well, if you reward the net, then I'm sure we would play you. But right. There's no reward to playing a mid-major that's going to be a quad 2 or some of them quad 1s. And so for us, playing Power 5 competition obviously early is good, and then making sure that you get enough home games or neutral floor games with your quad 3s, quad 4s to really improve your net is probably the objective.
Okay, I have thoughts. Number one, in the end, that feels like a whole lot of word salad from Coach McCollum. Again, nobody wants to schedule a loss. And the only thing that kind of jumps out at me is he wants nothing to do with Drake and he wants nothing to do with Northern Iowa. I mean, I think that is the long and the short of it. When he says there's no reward in playing a mid-major that's going to be a quad 2, and I was like, okay. But then he continued and said, or some of them a quad 1. That was when he lost me. Like, if you can't play, that's all anybody wants. Quad 1 and quad 2 games, or a quad 4 game that you need to go blow the doors off, as we have talked about forever. Not going to help you strike the schedule, but can help the net if you can take care of business against those quad 4s. But everybody wants quad 1 and quad 2s. And you have a Drake team that was top 50 last year, right at that 50-51 mark. And again, benefit of the doubt, the past results do not indicate future performance. But a 50, no one's asking Ben McCollum, I don't think. Now, look, this is part of this argument where I can understand if Drake and Northern Iowa are saying we're only going to play you if it's a home and home, and Ben McCollum's like, look, we're not doing that. Okay, I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. But to sort of flatly go, we're not playing them at all, that's because they're not good enough, but yet says they could be a quad 1. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense, other than he just does not appear interested because he knows damn well how good those programs are. And he's like, I'm all right. I'm all right. And that's the part that is disappointing. That, again, a guy that, the same path as Bruce Pearl. Everybody's different. I get it. But to just and I've seen it before where you get guys that have been head coaches at mid-major level and they bang the drum. We can't get games. And the minute they get elevated to a Power 4 school, Suddenly it's like that all of their platform and their speeches for years just completely fall by the wayside and become like, oh, we're not playing any mid-majors if we don't, because no one wants to schedule a loss. And I get it. But how are you supposed to go into Ann Arbor and beat Michigan? And how are you supposed to go into East Lansing and beat Michigan State if you can't welcome in a Northern Iowa team and beat them in your own building? Or go, what is it, the Wells Fargo Center? Go play the neutral site in Des Moines if you want. Memory serves, it wasn't that long ago, and I don't think I'm crazy on this, that used to have the 4 schools in state, Iowa State, Drake, Northern Iowa, and they played some sort of annual series somewhere. I don't think I'm crazy. Now, it's been a while since that's happened. The last time Drake played last time Iowa played Northern Iowa, I think was 2018. And then the last time Iowa played Drake was 2017. Or they flipped, one or the other. It's almost been 10 years since Iowa has played either of those in-state schools. I just ate the word salad about it. If you don't want to play them, there's got to be a better line, because anybody with any sense of common sense can just hear all of those words and just go, he just doesn't want to play them. He doesn't want to play them. There's no reward to playing a mid-major that's going to be a quad 2, or some of them a quad 1. The lack of reward is there's a chance we're going to get beat, and I'm not interested in that. And I always just kind of find that disappointing. If they have demands, look, you are the power school. You have the leverage. We don't need to come to your building. Look, if you want to be Bruce Pearl and you want to go play at App State, at Murray State, whatever, 2 for 1, 5 for 1, however you want to do it, I applaud that you're going to give that program, that school, that university, that fan base a huge memory for coming in and playing. I applaud that. That's not necessary, because I understand, as the power school, you have all the leverage. You don't need to negotiate with terrorists here and be like, well, if you're not coming to our place, we're not playing it. Then that's fine. We won't play you. But to just kind of wipe it off the board and go, nope, not going to happen. That's disappointing. And, I hope certainly as time goes on, as he gets more comfortable in his tenure there at Iowa, that he will feel the need or not feel the need, but at least feel comfortable enough in opening up the doors again to reopening those series with Drake and Northern Iowa. Sometimes you just hope the basketball gods are smiling, and sooner rather than later, those two, whether it is Drake, whether it is Northern Iowa, they will have a first-round NCAA tournament game, and waiting on the other side will be Iowa. And maybe in the end, that will just remind Coach McCollum why exactly he never scheduled that game in the first place. All right. 19 minutes later, off the soapbox. But come on, Ben McCollum. Come on. Come on. Come on. Okay. We got that out of the way. Other scheduling news. We saw Richmond basketball. Let's talk Spider basketball this morning as their beat writer. A lot of this we already knew, but we saw that yesterday their beat writer, kind of posted their non-conference schedule, and there are 2 definite, 3 potential Missouri Valley teams that are going to play Richmond this season. Southern Illinois, which we believe to be the front end of a home and home, they are playing at Richmond on December the 13th. Richmond will come to Nashville and play Belmont. That date is yet to be determined. That is the back end of a home and home. And then in the Disney event down in Orlando, Illinois State, part of a 4-team MTE with Furman, Richmond, and Charlotte. Now, at first blush, you see Richmond, who was 10-22 last year, has a net of 253 last season. One more time. Past results do not indicate future performance. And I think this is kind of a shoulder shrug game in a lot of ways. But when you peel back the onion at all, this has the potential, and not a long shot potential, but a real potential to be a really good game for all 3 of our teams. Richmond's last year, again, 253 in the net. That was their worst year in the net since 2007. Since 2010, they have been a top 100 team in the KenPom 11 times. And when you go back and look, since 2020, their KenPom numbers 46, 65, 85, 150, 89, and 253. So they have been really good over a long period of time with Chris Mooney. And this has the chance. On paper, it doesn't look great, but this could be one of those things that, Chris Mooney has shown there at Richmond. It may be one bad year, but it's going to be followed by 5 really good years. And so hopefully the Valley can pick up 3 wins. But at the same time, Richmond will take care of business in the rest of their schedule, that this 253 is going to increase substantially this year and will help our 3 Missouri Valley teams sort of bolster their net and strength of schedule as well. Other scheduling news, this from our friends at Valparaiso. It originates in Lexington, Kentucky, as University of Kentucky. Our friend Rocco Miller there with Bracketeer.org, who does a lot of scheduling work, helping teams and playing matchmaker for some programs, but also, compiles everybody's non-conference schedules as well. And he has found that Kentucky's non-conference schedule seems to be done, as they have put together a multi-team event, which will have 2 components to it that are important to us. Number one, they will host Valparaiso. Our friend Paul Oren at thevictorybell.com believes that game will be around, if not on, November 7th. No date has yet been announced. I believe that is a Friday, November the 7th. And it's a 3-team MTE. So Kentucky will host Valpo, and they will host Eastern Illinois. Valpo will play at Kentucky, but then they will also host Eastern Illinois. So that is you get a home game out of it for Valpo. Certainly EIU is not a strong team historically, but it's a home game. It's going to be against a quad 4 team. You hope you can take care of business for Valpo, but then obviously you're probably playing a top 5 team in the country there that first week of the season at Kentucky. So a good test for Roger Powell and his bunch right out of the jump. Also got a commitment yesterday from Valpo, as they have picked up a commitment from, I hope I'm getting this right, I am almost positive I'm not, but we'll get it corrected soon enough, Sader Servalis from Canada, 6'4" guard, and he is the final piece to Roger Powell's roster for the 2025-26 season. Joe Musa, who is a national scout for Canadian Hoops, wrote about Mr. Sader, called him, quote, he said he, quote, arguably had the best season for a high school player on Canadian soil this year. We're sort of at the end of get season, but this appears to be a very good get for Roger Powell. Again, a 6'4" guard with a 6'9" wingspan. Joe Moose is saying he has the potential to be an all Missouri Valley Conference on the all defensive team. And so a late signing, but a big signing. Now the question just becomes, like a lot of these international student athletes coming in, is how quickly he can get to Valpo. As the visa process again has paused with the U.S. government, and we will see. I know there's been some workarounds from some schools trying to maybe get off a student visa, get them as a tourist visa. There's a lot of things happening, trying to get these kids to campus so they can play basketball and get some time in with the summer workouts. But that will be the plan there for Sader Servalis, and Roger Powell's roster is now complete for 2025-26. All right. Now for our second part of our visual aids for the morning. Tim Leonard, the athletic director for Southern Illinois, sat down with my good friend Luke Martin, radio voice there for the Salukis earlier this week, and they talked about the House settlement. And this was sort of the grand rollout. I'd heard Luke on radio when I was driving. We were both one after the other, North Dakota radio station last week. I was talking about the College World Series. He was talking about SIU athletics, and the House settlement came up, and he was asked about it, and he kind of hemmed and hawed because he knew he had this conversation with Tim Leonard coming up and wanted it to be sort of the rollout, the official rollout from the SIU brass, and specifically athletic director Tim Leonard. So the number one, the most important part is that Southern Illinois is opting in to the House settlement. We have 10 more days to say. It was June 15th. The deadline to opt in has been pushed back to June 30th. And again, that allows universities to share up to $20 million in revenue to their student athletes, however they deem that necessary. Now, SIU, much like every other school in the Valley, much like a whole lot of schools in the country, don't have $20 million in revenue to share. But it is now available, and it's going to have an opportunity to, focus that money on the revenue bearing sports and share that to try to, the money's going out. It's got to be replaced with money coming in. There's a 20-minute conversation with Luke Martin and Tim Leonard, and you can find it on YouTube. Just search the SIU Salukis YouTube page, their athletics page. It's all there, and I'd encourage you to listen to all of it. I'm going to show you a 90-second clip here, which I thought was the most important part of Luke asking Tim Leonard, what can fans do in this new era of revenue sharing? What can fans do to try to support athletic programs? And in this case, Southern Illinois' athletic program. And this answer was very loud to me. So here is Tim Leonard, SIU athletic director, on what fans can do in this new revenue share era.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a big part of this community, and it's not just from an entertainment standpoint, but when this place is full and when this place is rocking, the economic impact it makes for the region is fairly substantial, right? Bars and restaurants are full, pregame, postgame. That's part of the beauty of where we're at, because people are coming from all these small towns, and even down from Chicago, they're coming down for the weekends for games. So they're spending money. This isn't like they're just driving 5 minutes and pulling out of their garage, driving to the arena and pulling right back, right? They're coming from 20 miles away, 30 miles away, some of them, 200 miles away. So they're going to spend money in the region when they're here. And I just think that that's important for everybody to understand that, look, we all need to do our part. And it doesn't have to be that you got to be our biggest donor. We just need you to go to the games. Right? Plain and simple. Go to the games. That's what we need. And we need you to watch the games. And then when you're at the games, buy a hot dog, buy a soft drink, buy a T-shirt. All those things help. And we've got to really ignite our fan base to not only go to the games, but to help promote us and get their friends and families to come, because once this place is full, it just makes such an impact on everybody in the southern part of the state.
Go to the games. And that is in a time of revenue sharing, athletic departments need revenue. And from those revenue sports, men's basketball, women's basketball in many cases, football, they need butts in seats. And that is awesome in theory. But we live in an era now where it is easier than ever to watch your favorite teams for, was it $9.99 a month? $10.99 a month on ESPN Plus. And so it takes very little reason for fan bases, members of fan bases, to find a reason not to go. Is it raining out? Is the game at a time that doesn't work for me? I can watch it later on demand. Is the wind blowing the wrong direction today? Like it takes very little reason. Now, look, there are fans that you can play that game at 2 a.m. in an Applebee's parking lot, and they're going to be there, and they're going to be tailgating ahead of time, and they're going to be ready to roll. That is what you hope everyone would be like, but that is not the way of the world anymore. And so this is where, it is easy to say, go to games, and we need your support. Now, number one, you have to have a product and players, coaches, team, that product. This is still an entertainment industry. No matter how you want to frame it, it is an entertainment industry. And the entertainment product has to be worthy of what people believe. People's belief is. fans' belief is. It needs to be worthy of not only their time, but their money. You have seen season ticket holders or season tickets in general get a little bit of a rev share tax attached to it. You've seen, ticket prices are not getting smaller. That's just the bottom line. And so to take a family, whether it's a one night thing, you're buying single games, whether you're buying season tickets, it is expensive. And so the product has to be good enough for people to feel like they're getting their money's worth. Where the, and athletic departments can stand there and say, we need you to go to games. We need you to support our teams. That's fine. And yes, that's the front end of this conversation. To me, the second end of this conversation is athletic departments and their game management folks and everybody that's people who probably most fans don't have any idea who their names are, but they are the people that put on the games. They are the ones that do all the in-game entertainment, that get all that organized and make it run, all of that stuff. The in-game, let me take that back. The in-arena product has to be elite. It has to be elite. It has to change. It can't be, hey, I've seen it once, so I can't see it 15 more times at every home game this year. It has to be elite. If you are going to ask people to more than ever to come to your games, look, if you win and you win a lot, people are going to come out. People love winning. People love to be a part of winners. That's fine. Not everybody can be Drake and go 31-4. But if the product is not enough to bring people out by itself, the rest of the package has to be elite. You have to make people believe they are coming in and seeing an A+ entertainment event. To when the night's over, win, lose, or draw. All right, you're disappointed. Maybe you didn't win, but boy, did you see that. And that was fun. And I had a good time, because that is the prerequisite now to get people to part ways with their money. And in this money era and the rev share era, that is where I just hope athletic departments take a hard look at that, to just to bear the brunt of the responsibility of, we need a product that is going to bring people in here and part ways with their money. Yep, season ticket holders are great. They've already parted ways with their money. They're coming no matter what, most likely. But it's all those single game folks that show up and go, you know what, tonight I think I want to go. You've got to make them want to come back, because you need them to have enjoyed the product. That is the game, but it's everything around the game. It's the pregame, it's halftime, it's postgame, it's every 4-minute media timeout. Those couldn't be more important. And so, look, you got to spend some money there, but you got to spend some money to make more money. And that's the end goal and the end product here, the end game for these athletic departments. So I appreciate Tim Leonard, sort of the public ask. We need folks to go to games. Yes. But the athletic departments, and I'm not just talking SIU, I'm talking all 11 teams in the conference, they have to do their part. Because if people are not feeling like, man, I paid $15 for a ticket for me, and I bring the family of 4, I just dropped 60, but I can spend $10.99 a month, $11.99, whatever it is, on ESPN Plus for the whole month, and I can get 8 games on the comfort of my own couch. It's just too easy not to go anymore. And so that is, I guess, my soapbox request to athletic departments everywhere in the Missouri Valley Conference. All right, a couple quick notes before we get out of here. This morning, an old friend alert. Speaking of Southern Illinois, Scotty Abube, who spent 2 years at SIU. He averaged 5 points, 3 rebounds a game in those 2 years. Transferred to Wyoming last year. Averaged 5 points and 3 rebounds a game with Wyoming. 6'10", 265-pounder in the middle. Just a big man. He has committed to finish his college career with newly appointed Will Wade, the head coach at NC State, and Abube will conclude his career there with the Wolfpack. And last but not least, some women's scheduling news. And we don't always get this, and it feels like the women's schedules are done way earlier. And so you end up getting the whole hey, it's July 1. Here's our schedule for the year. Well, you've got men's teams that go into September before they have any idea what they are doing. But Indiana State's women announcing they are going to be part of the Cherokee Invitational at the Harrah's Cherokee Resort in Cherokee, North Carolina. That is far western North Carolina. It's about 100 miles southeast of Knoxville. And so Indiana State, a 2-day MTE, December 21st and 22nd, rolling into Christmas. It'll be Ole Miss, Michigan State, and Old Dominion. It's a bracketed event. So I feel like going out on a limb, they're probably going to match these teams up so they can try to get Michigan State and Ole Miss in the championship game. If what they believe holds in terms of records and so on going in. So got to believe that brackets have not been announced yet. Got to think Indiana State is going to get Ole Miss or Michigan State to open things up on December 21st down there in Cherokee, North Carolina. But they will make that official announcement here in the coming weeks. All right, that does it for this morning. And our Morning in the Valley today. If you haven't done so already, please do me a favor. Go to YouTube, search out our channel there, Morning in the Valley, full shows, interview clips, all of it there. In case you ever miss anything, you can find it again. And if you subscribe, a little notificational bell will go off every time we go live. Again, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday here in the off season at 9 a.m. But once we get closer to November, it's going to be a whole lot more frequent. The times may vary, and so you'll get a little tip off there when we do go live here on YouTube, on X, on Facebook, and such. So everybody have a great weekend. Thanks for being with us today, and we'll see you back here on Monday morning right here on Morning in the Valley.